Okay, so today I'm joined by Preston Parsons, fresh off his UFC Vegas 52 victory over Evan Elder. First of all, Preston, how are you? How are things going?
I'm doing good. Everything's great. Everything's always better after a win.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I bet you're feeling pretty positive following that result. What did you make of the fight, your own performance?
I think I did well. Definitely some stuff to improve on. I kind of hinted on that during the post fight meeting, but I'm happy with my performance. It's my first decision as a pro, which I think was good for me as a fighter. Definitely kind of it was fun. It was fun to go all 3 rounds. I got more time in there, more experience, and I enjoyed the whole fight.
I was going to say, do you feel like you did benefit from having the full 15 minutes and something you haven't done in your previous professional career when you've got your wins?
Yes, no, I definitely learned from it. I felt pretty good. Felt like my gas tank was pretty good the whole fight, and it was definitely a cool experience to get to spend 15 minutes in the UFC cage.
No, I think that's for certain. I think throughout the 15 minutes, you looked fantastic. Did the fight play out how you thought it would in your head?
Yes, I definitely saw myself getting the finish. I visualized that fight a lot. I almost that week couldn't really close my eyes without thinking about the fight, especially with the opponent change there, like 4 or 5 days out. I watched a lot of his tape. So again, anytime I closed my eyes, I was visualizing the fight, visualizing getting my hand raised, and it kind of played out almost exactly like I thought it would.
Speaking of your opponent change, did that affect your preparation or anything leading up to the fight? Because obviously you yourself, you stepped in on short notice on your UFC debut, so you know what that's like. But did you feel that gave you an advantage in a sense, knowing he was coming in less prepared, or did it not matter who was simply in front of you? You felt good in yourself?
I felt good with the training camp. I definitely had a few hiccups during the training camp. I got sick about a week out. I was taking antibiotics until I think Tuesday, the week of the fight. Popped my knee a little bit about 3 weeks before the fight. So there was definitely a few hiccups in my camp, but um, other than that, I felt pretty good about everything. And then the opponent change didn't really change the game plan too much. The guy I was supposed to fight, Kosi, was pretty well rounded, so it was a similar game plan to the one I had for him.
You say you had a few issues in camp. When you deal with setbacks like things like injuries, like you said you had, and being unwell, how do you keep yourself motivated?
It's difficult, especially it's easy to get in your own head, and I've been guilty of that plenty of times. When I hurt my knee, it popped, and it was kind of on the outside. And the next day, it was swollen, and I couldn't walk that well. So that definitely got in my head a little bit. But I just had to take it a little easier towards the end of the camp, not push myself as hard in training, and I've been healed up fine. But it definitely messes with your head a little bit.
Yeah, it's understandable. It's added pressure when you guys are stepping in the cage to fight, which is already an intense thing. I want to speak to you a little bit about your gym and what you do back home. I saw from your post-fight interview, you say you work in the gym, you have students there. I want to talk about being a role model for them and those fighters. How important is that for you?
It's huge to me. The students they come to me for advice. They ask me questions. Obviously, I want to make them proud, along with making myself proud in the fights. I want them to see me do well. But I opened the gym with my partner Cord about 2 years ago, right in the middle of COVID. So it was difficult at first, but we've had some good students and good people that have been supportive, and they've been there for the whole journey.
No, it's great to hear. Um, like you say, you've opened the gym and you've had it for 2 years now. You opened it in the pandemic, which is quite bold given everything going on. Is that something you'd like to go into? Say, I know we're early in your career, so you've got time, but maybe after the fighting and all that, is that coaching, teaching, martial arts? Is that something you're interested in?
Yes, that's something I plan on doing a lot more after I'm done fighting. Especially with that last fight camp, I have a lot of help, and I have a lot of good pro and amateur fighters here to help me run the classes. But during the camp, and especially right now while I'm doing well in the UFC, my main focus is me. My main focus is training, diet, doing everything I need to prepare for fights. And then once I'm done with my career, I'll probably focus a little bit more on coaching than I have been lately.
Well, there's no rush for you to stop from any of us fans, believe that. You say you're talking about, your fight camp and stuff, and it's important to have, your diet on point, your training. How important are the people you surround yourself with in those moments too?
Just as important. I surround myself with guys that believe in me. They see greatness in me that sometimes it's hard to see for yourself. But I'm surrounded by great people, people that, again, they believe in me. They they want to see me do well, and it motivates me because I want them to see me do well.
No, understandable. I feel like in your position, obviously we saw you coming on short notice on your debut. It didn't go the way you wanted. This time you had more of a camp, you were more prepared, scheduled fight, and you got the result you wanted. I personally, I feel like I saw you fight before I got to know Preston Parsons, the person. So just tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you enter mixed martial arts? What started you off?
I've always been intrigued by fighting, and I always knew I wanted to be great, be a champion in something. When I was younger, it was at boxing. I was super into the Rocky movies, real young, and I always loved the underdog story and enjoyed being the underdog. But I have an older brother, so we did a lot of like boxing in the garage and kind of like horsing around with each other and stuff. But my stepdad introduced me to MMA when I was 16. So when I was 16, he showed me the old Hoist Gracie, the original UFC fights, and I pretty much hooked immediately. Started hanging out with some of the wrestlers at my high school, and found an MMA gym and got into it when I was 16. I wish I would have wrestled in high school or been more proactive with any sport in high school. I was kind of I was a little nervous, definitely in high school, and didn't have a lot of friends or anything like that. So I was a little more reserved. So I wish I would have been more open and showed up to a wrestling practice and started a little bit younger than I did.
That's understandable, especially now you feel the way you do with how much you love the sport. Would you say you looked at MMA as an outlet for you then in those early stages of when you stepped that first took you into a mixed martial arts gym?
Yeah, absolutely. I was, especially towards like around the time I was 14 till I was 16. I didn't really have too much guidance from my parents or anything like that. So there was a lot of like partying and stuff going on around that time, and I kind of always knew I wanted to do something better and bigger for myself. So I found a gym, and that's where I spent all my time from 16 until now 26. So it's been 10 years of me plugging away and training and getting to where I'm at now.
And obviously all the hard work's paid off now in the UFC and you picked up your victory. But was there a point in this journey where you thought maybe I'm not cut out for this, or it's just too hard, or things putting you off?
Yeah, absolutely. Doubt always sets in and like finds a way to injure my mind. But I've pushed past it. And again, I've been doing this for 10 years. And especially a few years back, the UFC started kind of seeming like a pipe dream, and it may not ever happen. But I've always known that I was going to do something great. And I got my opportunity with the D-Rod fight. And again, I was didn't take that fight, or I should have approached that fight with a different mindset than I did. I was just stoked to be there. I was kind of starstruck by everything, and then kind of forgot the mindset that's helped me be successful in my fights, and that's being focused and knowing that I'm going to win the fight, not just go in there and go through the motions.
No, for sure, but that's still you must think that's an important learning experience for you. You needed to get those, not jitters, if you will, but excitement and nerves out of the way. And then in your second fight, it looked like obviously all that excitement and jitters and the fresh in the UFC. You just look so composed, so calm. It looked like you're a new person. Do you think you felt less pressure after you'd had the D-Rod fight?
Maybe not less pressure, but I approached the pressure a different way. Kind of not. I took it more serious. I was more focused for this fight. There wasn't much smiling. I even talked to my corners. We were there for one reason, and that's to win this fight. Vegas is cool, and but I'm not much of a partier or a drinker or anything like that. So kind of being away from everybody and that locked away in that hotel, we had one goal in mind, and it was to win that fight. So there was nothing but focus throughout that camp, and especially that last week.
So no Vegas celebrations after the victory, no drinks, little bit of poker, nothing like that.
No, not this time, or no, not at all.
That's more than fair. So obviously fresh off a fight, so I'm probably presuming you don't have anything scheduled yet. So I won't ask you just yet. But what's the plan for the rest of the year? You know, what are your goals? When do you want to get back in? Obviously, I doubt an opponent's there, like I say, but what's in the future for you?
Well, I wanted to get right back to it right away, get another fight scheduled. you can't really see it during the fight, but I broke my hand in the first round. So I just went to the doctor yesterday, and I'm scheduled to get surgery on Monday. And he said that I won't be able to punch for at least 8, or I won't be able to train for 8 weeks, and then I won't be able to punch for 12. But I'm hoping to shorten that time a little bit and get back to it within 6 to 8 weeks. But hopefully fighting before the end of the year.
That's understandable. Do you have anyone in mind who you'd like to face next?
Me and my friends were talking about earlier. I want to be the champion. So Kamaru Usman was the name we were talking about a bunch earlier. But obviously, I have to work my way up towards that. But I do think that's a good matchup for me.
I know I like the confidence. You've got to believe in yourself so far. And ambitions obviously have got to be. Then you want to face Kamaru Usman. You want to beat Kamaru Usman and show you are the best.
That's right. Exactly.
Final question then I have for you, Preston. For those who don't know, if they wanted to go back and find some footage on you and learn a bit more, before the UFC, what would you say is your highlight career moment?
I would say my last fight in Jacksonville. It's my hometown. I've lived in Jacksonville my entire life. Almost as a kid, I was pretty much in the same house my entire life, and it's right down the road here from my gym. It was June 5th, 2021. And it was one of the fights I felt most relaxed in. I was relaxed. I stayed standing, threw a bunch of standing elbows, got the win in the second round with an armbar. And just that whole night, the energy that night, all my friends and family being there for the fight, the crowd, it was probably the highlight of my career so far, besides that last fight. But I will say I enjoy fighting in front of a crowd more so than I do the Apex, because it gives me just the right amount of nerves when I have the crowd and everything else. When it's all quiet, it's a little bit different of a feeling.
I can imagine, almost a bit daunting, and I believe I speak on behalf of the fans when I say we can't wait to see you get back out there. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today, and I just once again want to wish you a massive congratulations on your victory this past weekend.
Sweet, thank you so much. Now it was good talking to you, and I'm up for talking anytime.
Thank you. All the best.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.